There we go.
Motion to come out of executive session?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yes, sorry. Make a motion not to accept the abatement application.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we'll move right along. So public input, public in attendance have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Please use the podium to address the board and please be respectful of others. Any public comment?
Sue Briggs. I'm treasurer of the Goodman's Mills Cemetery Committee. And I just want to thank the select board for considering the transfer of property at the corner, the little old Rhodes Hall piece, over to us if that happens. I think it just makes a good addition. I don't think it makes any burial plots, but it will make a nice presentation to the cemetery at some point. We've discussed putting a nice sign, something that really labels where people are going. So thank you.
Welcome.
Karen Kane, Pines Lane. I actually have a couple different things I want to ask about. The first one is based on the town vote at the town meeting. It was decided to abolish the South Waterboro Road Reserve Fund. So I would just like to ask that the select board or town manager, whoever is responsible for prioritizing or assigning things to the road commissioner, that the road commissioner be responsible for following up with the state, because we were told as part of the budget committee that it would require the town to stay on top of the state to get the road fixed or redone the way that it's supposed to be properly done. And we certainly would want that to happen before the town population ever gets to 7,500, for however long that may take. So that is my request, with, periodic updates to the public on any progress that is made.
Perfect.
So that's that. The other one is regarding Kennybunk Pond Beach. I was glad to see that it was cleared today of any bacteria. However, there is a lot of leaf and pollen debris pile up from the fall winter season. And in previous years, that has always been cleaned up by Dave Riley. When asked about it this year, I was told that the new CEO said that according to DEP rules, that the town couldn't do that because they don't own the water, which doesn't make sense to me. So for two reasons I'm asking, because it's been done every year that I've lived there, but I'm not one for saying you have to do it because that's the way it's always been done. But secondly, the way that the leaves have come in, they're forming a peninsula, which is preventing the outflow of water through the outlet. So it's disturbing the natural flow, which is important for maintaining the health of the pond. So I know in talking with Jeanette, there's not specific budget for that. But I did talk to Dave Riley. He's willing to do it. He was going to contact Jeanette. And I would just ask that the board approves that and finds some funding to pay Dave Riley to clear that out.
I know that at one time, I thought our road commissioner used a thing that he made for the bucket of his machine that he actually grabbed and dragged the leaves out so they could dry, to be loaded, to be taken away.
He did that right out of the outlet.
But I also think, and if I remember correctly, that I thought it was done this year, mistakenly so, I guess. But I thought it was because the water was so high that it wasn't the normal area that got cleaned. It was further up here because the water was so high.
Well, I know the landscapers cleared a lot of that out when they were doing their work, so it could have been from them, but.
That's that's why I
Dave
thought
said
it got
he
done.
hasn't- Yeah, Dave said he hasn't done it yet this year.
I guess since we're gonna talk to that, I'll answer to it a little bit. As far as the leaves coming out of the water, this is a DEP regulation that the code enforcement officer said, hey, you can't take the leaves out of the water. Leaves on the beach is one thing. So I'm just going by whatever those regulations are. I know there was a lot of discussion with Bunganut when we took down, trees that had come down from the storm. We tried to get a permit by rule, DEP didn't answer, the former road commissioner got a lot of heat for chipping up those trees because of DEP regulations. So just, to try to conform to DEP regulations, that's the reason why that answer is provided. But it's not really, if the board wants to approve funding, they can. It would have to come out of a reserve account somewhere. We just didn't budget for it. And then if people have done it voluntarily in the past, that's fine, but we can't always rely on that happening. We had the transfer station plowing was something, volunteered to the town. And when that person was no longer here to do that, we had a $10,000 sticker shock price that we didn't plan for. So all I'm recommending is, you can have people volunteer, but we should plan for it. Because you never know when the volunteers aren't available anymore.
Since
I don't know how it was handled in the past, but I know Dave was the one who,
Yeah.
all roads led back to Dave, so I said, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna call Dave and talk to him, and
Well,
he's
I-
the one who did it, and it's my impression the town paid for it, but I could
But-
be wrong.
I'm sorry. But to be clear, you're not authorizing the town to go into the water. However, if there was a volunteer to put that on the beach, we can take it from the beach.
You can take it from the beach, as I am understanding it. I can't authorize funds out of a reserve account. So if it has, if we had a budget for it, I can authorize payment and hire someone to do it and not have to get to this point. But if we don't have a budget for it, it has to come out of CIP, so that's a board thing that you guys have to authorize payment out of.
I wasn't aware of a DEP rule like that. So here's the thing, I don't really want to be breaking DEP
I'm not
rules. We're
breaking
expecting
DEP.
our residents to adhere to rules and regulations and we're gonna
Right.
circumvent them? I don't think so.
Does anybody
not
have a
rules.
problem with me reaching out to DEP to see if they have a problem with the water flow not going through the outlet and will allow us to clear that area?
You certainly can if you'd like to. I know, I've also been told there's a screen or something, I'm not really.
It's
familiar.
out now.
It's out now, okay.
Oh.
That was causing.
One of my neighbors went and cleaned out the outlet as much as he could, but there's still that
Yeah.
barrier further up that
There
he
are
wasn't
definitely a
able
lot
to
of
get to.
leaves, and I feel
And
like,
it stinks.
And the wind blows always in that direction, so it blows everything to the beach.
So just one question about the screen. In the emails that we received about the water situation there, it was mentioned that the screen at the culvert is not owned by the town.
correct.
So who owns it?
So the Pines Association owns half of the outlet and the town owns the other half, is my understanding. It's the members of the Pines Association
Mhm.
who removed the screen this time of year and put it back in the fall.
Let's see.
Thanks, Jen. You're up.
Ted Burke, right on Bull Farm Road. The reason the screens were put in there way back, and they were put in that end and the west end, was to keep the fish in, let alone where the leaves were. And people used to go clean the screens out in front. That was there originally to keep the fish in the pond.
Thanks, Ken.
Interesting.
No.
Any other public comment?
Hey, this is my first time ever. I'm gonna do this. Rusty
State your name and
Blackington,
address, please.
22 Wood Thrush Lane. I just want to say that I'm positive. I thought the election was really smooth. There was no waiting. I came in, came out. I was a little disappointed in the amount of people that approved our budget for this town, the whole 50 people that showed up, but it went smooth. It was probably the smoothest town meeting I've ever been involved with. There was no arguing. Everything went as planned, and it was awesome.
Was it positive?
Thanks.
Some guy looking in the window.
Sorry,
Well, he's
didn't mean to just seem so startled.
Tom Hatch, 133 Foss Road. I'd like to congratulate Joe and Dave for winning the election on Tuesday. It was a fair fight, sort of. That was fun. I'd also like to thank the board that I served with over the last 3 years, specifically with Rusty being the chair and myself being the vice chair. It was an experience. It was a learning experience. And there were some good things that happened. There were some bad things that happened, but it was all a learning experience. And the freshman select board here will learn that as you go. Learn as much as you possibly can, because there'll be a lot of stuff thrown at you. Next, I'd like to thank the staff of the town of Lyman. This includes the town hall employees, Sue, Becca, Julie, Lori, and of course, Jeanette, the accounting whiz. And the new person, I don't know her name. I've met her once, but she seems like a very nice person. The transfer station employees, road commissioner, parks and rec director, and all the committees that work hard to keep our town operating. I am proud to have been involved in the development and implementation of the new form of government with the town manager leading the way. We could not have chosen a better person than Lindsay to fill this position, and I hope you will continue to be successful moving forward. And I encourage the board to communicate with her on a regular basis. I know I did. She has a pulse on the town and what needs to be done, and she's very knowledgeable in that. And I was especially honored to work as the town's representative on the fire commission and assist Chief Duross and Deputy Chief Harris. The fire department is one entity of this town to be very proud of for all the work they do every day, and it comes from the leadership of these two gentlemen. During the last 3 years, the board has moved forward on many issues, like increasing security measures at Kennebunk Pond Beach, improving the transfer station to make it safer for the town employees to work, the development of the Bunganup Park Committee, and of course, the paving of Oscar Littlefield Road.
Yeah, we started that 12 years
12 years
previous.
ago. And there were many other things that I just couldn't come up with. So in closing, I just wanted to remind the new board that you are each one of 5 board members. You must work as a team. You may not always agree with each other, and that's okay. But do not let social media and other negative forms of communication prevent you from continuing to right the ship and doing what's right for doing what is the right thing for the town and its employees. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Good job.
I didn't turn the timer on, I'm sorry. Sorry, that was your rule. Any other public comment? Nope, okay. We'll move right along. Mail in our packet, we're not gonna go through it all. We've got York County Sheriff report, those are posted as part of this. Packet online, very interesting. If nobody's had a chance to look at it, I always enjoy looking at those. And then we have a letter from FEMA.
Yes, I was gonna talk about this.
Okay.
Do you know anything about this?
Isn't this the
Did you read this
emergency?
letter? No?
Yeah.
So
So
do you
when-
know what we have to do to
Isn't
be
that
able
that
to comply
emergency
exactly?
ordinance?
Yeah, so you guys have a public hearing July 1st,
Mhm.
adopt the FEMA, the new floodplain.
Okay, that's
That
what it was.
emergency ordinance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Now I remember.
Should we respond to Miss Sears? Just to explain what our timeframe is, that we'll be holding a public hearing on the 1st of July with the expectation of passing an emergency ordinance to comply with the FEMA requirement.
so we
In
have
advance.
a representative that we've been communicating with,
Mhm.
myself and the ORC. So they're aware of they're aware of the ORC working on it, what we're working on.
Mhm. Cool. Speaking of the ORC, I know they're meeting next Tuesday, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know that they've been speaking about having, as required, 3 public hearings on the proposed ordinances, one being this compliance to FEMA. Would it be possible to combine the select board hearing with the ORC's public hearing?
That's up to the ORC, I would just let them kind of do them. We're just doing an emergency piece.
Right.
To get it implemented. They're still taking it to November.
Right, that's the
So-
distinction
Oh.
between the two, but I think the language otherwise is the same, is it not?
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay. Just putting the idea out there, we might be able to expedite things for the ordinance review committee, if again, we could have a combined public hearing on
We
the,
could do
on the
that, there's
first.
nothing wrong with doing it, but they're gonna have public hearing, they have 4 articles, 4 different referenda.
Mhm.
So they're gonna do a public hearing probably on all of them.
Mhm. True. Okay. Again, so there will be a response to this through the,
My clarification is we've been responding to them, Joe.
okay,
So behind the scenes, I've been working with a representative from FEMA since, I wanna say January.
okay. And that's Ms. Ehrlich,
No, that name doesn't sound familiar.
Baker?
Joe, what?
No.
what's-
I'm sorry, just asking
Move
who
on.
the
Chair?
person is.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So that was mail. Next item is minutes from the June 3rd meeting, which. What do we do with that?
Put the new names on, because last year it was an issue or a question.
Or didn't we just, I think we posted them without signing.
So I remember, so I talked with MMA last year, and
Right.
basically, like, there's nothing that says you have to sign your minutes.
Okay.
Or make a motion to approve them. Your public record is already out there. Your public proceeding is your
Is
YouTube
recorded.
content,
Okay,
and you meet all the requirements for state statute. You
okay.
know, this is just a formality. I mean, as part of your charter, you do have to, I think, post meeting minutes.
Post them,
But
right?
there's nothing in there that they have to do, like sign their, whatever.
It's one of those things that we always do.
Yeah,
Right.
it
That's
doesn't
all,
hurt,
that's
it
all.
doesn't hurt. I think it validates.
And I'm totally fine doing it, continuing moving forward. I just think this one presents a really, just a weird scenario, right?
Yeah.
There.
Well, and part of the MMA
So me
discussion too
too.
is like, you don't have to be present at a meeting to vote on the minutes, because you're just validating these qualify as summary minutes.
Okay.
You know, if you read them and you watch the video content
Mhm.
and you feel like, yeah, they suffice, that's really
Yeah.
all you're kind of voting on.
There's only one thing that I see that I would change on them, if I was gonna change anything. And that's the other, that I stated, there's a poison ivy patch by the signs placed at Kennybunk Pond Beach. That was at the end of Kennybunk Pond Road, across Waterboro Road, where all those signs were. Did anybody get any itching out of
No, but I
that?
do appreciate that.
So also I pulled the transcripts from YouTube. When I do the meeting minutes, I copy the transcript, so whatever you guys say, just so you know, if you think it was like
I didn't say beach, but that's okay. We don't have to get out. I don't wanna go back and forth on that semantics like that.
So I'm comfortable either way with these. I'm open to any suggestion on what others want to do with these. If we're okay just leaving these as is.
Well, maybe from the three returning members of the board, a motion to accept and signatures by those three.
Perfect. I'm okay with that. If you two are okay with that. Others, Jeremy?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the June 3rd meeting.
Second it.
Discussion?
Yes. Under the stage 4 Eco Main reappointment, the vote shows 3-1-0. And even, it says that I abstained, but I think the abstention should be 3-0-1. So not that I didn't vote myself into the position.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Alright. Moving right along to warrants, item number 4. So first is payroll warrant number 47 for $46,442.81.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I haven't really had a chance to look at it. Not that I don't trust.
And I'm also abstaining just because
Yeah.
my payment was on that one.
No, I think we all have a feeling.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so then I, sorry. All right.
So what's the vote? Can you guys clarify, please?
4 in favor, 1 abstain. Okay. Accounts payable warrant number 48 in FY '24 in the amount of $294,119.96.
So moved.
I'll second
Any discussion?
it. I see a mileage for the former CEO. And I didn't know there was a process that took so long. What happened there?
They turned their mileage in for the time they worked.
It was surprising me to see it, so I was just curious. Thank you.
So I have a question, Lindsay, about the BB carpentry for the stairs at the concessions. So on the bid that they had put in, it was supposed to be 3,500 for that part of it, and they're coming in at 3,830. Was there any explanation?
No, when I talked to them about price changes, he said there wasn't any, so I'd have to go back and look at what you guys voted exactly,
Okay,
and we can just give you the difference.
okay. Yeah, because I just want, I mean, if he went up on that, and then there's still 2 other phases.
No, he's all done with the job, but
Oh, he is
before
done,
he had
okay.
started working on it, I'd asked him, is there price changes in the, lumber or anything like that since when you guys voted on it last year?
Yeah, I looked it up this
And
morning.
he had told me there wasn't any, so.
Or maybe it took a little longer than anticipated too. It's possible.
Cost of lumber.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to know,
Mhm.
like that explanation, if we could have it. And then, on the Eco Main side of MSW was $11,569.27. And recycling was cut in half by almost $500, I think was 9 something last time, but now it's $489.15, so sad, we're going in the wrong direction.
I think of you every time I burn my recyclables there, every single time.
Remember,
And the price of recycling, just so people know, the price of recycling that Eco Main is getting for what they're selling now is actually back on the rise. They're actually making money again. So the more the town recycles, the more they're getting, the less they charge in tipping fees in the long run. So that's my big point of recycle.
maybe for discussion in the future, you mentioned before, having some sort of sign there at the transfer station showing what the relative cost for the tipping fees as opposed to recycling. And maybe some sort of graphic as well that people can see on maybe a month-to-month basis as to how the town is faring altogether. Again, just maybe post it somewhere as you come around to the recycling bins, something, visual encouragement to recycle because it does mean money.
Yeah. I will work on that.
Any other discussion on this?
Just one clarification, the amount to Joseph Goff, that was for tree work, I assume?
Should say.
It mentions the King Smith Cemetery.
Yep,
So,
tree work.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Okay, moving. So unfinished business franchise agreement, do we have any updates?
Yeah, I'll get
Okay.
back to the story, but
I missed that.
Mhm.
Let's see, we had carryover the item for the discussion from the April 22nd workshop. And that document Lindsay put in the packet, so I don't know if new board members have had a chance to take a look at that. It's also something that we could probably work into our workshop
Mhm.
next week.
Good idea.
Yeah, I was actually, put a note on mine that if we could workshop these bylaws to, and stuff, to figure this stuff out.
Perfect. Okay.
I thought maybe we could go over the template, the sample one we got, like we did with the personnel policy.
Yeah.
We reviewed that together. I thought that was good.
Great.
We worked well that way, so.
Agreed. Let's see, item C, discussion on a company picnic / event. So I know we put some money in this year's budget to be able to recognize and acknowledge employees. I think that was tabled for last time. There was some talk, there was some talk.
We kind of went off the deep end with the food trucks into this and that, and I've actually been putting some thought into that since that meeting, and as though I think it would be fun to do it for the volunteers and for the employees. I kind of think that maybe there should be two separate events, one for each, because the employee one, we could do during the day when most employees are already around, instead of having them have to come back for another event.
Mhm.
And the volunteers that's the one we could do on the weekends or on the weekend, because, some of them got families and they bring their family. And they probably don't have to work on the weekend as much. I don't know,
We
that was my
talked
thought.
about, different ideas, like some towns, like they take their employees out to like bistro or something, they'll take them out to dinner. It's just, what do you guys want to provide for your employees or your volunteers or however, so. I know we talked about picnic in the park, we've been like all over the field with it.
Yeah.
We're just discussing it and trying to hone something in.
Yeah,
Well, I think we just need to be cognizant of budget too, right? Because
You know,
it doesn't go as
$1,000.
far as,
Yeah.
it's a
I
great
just-
start.
this whole discussion, I think, really started after the fire department put on that public event last year, and I went, I saw Tom there. There was a lot of people there, and everybody was having a good time. It was really fun to be there.
I like the idea of having them both together, the board and the committee, because a lot of committees, they might not know. There are some people on ORC that I've heard their names, but I've never seen their face, so I think that, I like the fact that we could all be together at the same time
Okay.
and have,
It's just-
people meeting that might not have ever met before. But I'm not opposed to,
Then if it was just a thought, because that's what I was thinking of, but I get where you're coming from. Either way, we should probably decide what it is and pick a date.
Yeah.
Maybe before the summer's over. It's already.
I know. We're coming on the end of June, right?
I was thinking like September. Because then I think we're all done with reservations and the lines. It gives us enough time to coordinate things. I'm sure if we were trying to schedule a caterer or get food together or something, it's gonna take
Yeah.
some time, coordination.
Suggestion from the public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carrie, Joe, come on, can you? Sorry. Yeah, it's the only way people hear us.
How about letting the town thank the staff and committees and doing a town picnic and let the people bring food in?
Like, yeah.
And the town thanks the people.
Don't be late.
Sorry, she was busy talking into the microphone.
I like the idea of, if we didn't bring in food trucks when we went off the rail on the food trucks, I like the idea of the select board actually serving the people, cooking for them and serving them like barbecue style, whatever. That's a way to say thank you.
Any other thoughts on that right now? I do like the idea of September, because I think just things start to kind of slow down and get back into a more relatively normal flow for people, but
Post Labor Day.
it's still nice enough to do something outside, but also people's summer schedules are pretty packed,
I think the second weekend in September would be the one,
like after Labor Day then.
the week after, the next week after Labor Day weekend. That's my thought.
Not to, like, the 14th and possibly the 21st. The library is currently talking about doing the community yard sale again, doing it on the 14th. So if it was on the 14th and or the 21st, then I would be at the library for that until that was done. So
This is why we.
We can do this, we can do this.
Hey, there's so much going on all the time, it seems like.
It's a step in the right direction, so.
but
What do
it
you
would be
think,
the
Dave?
7th.
Oh, I think that we should talk about it on Monday
At the workshop?
at the workshop.
This is gonna be a long
Yeah.
workshop.
Bring dinner.
Well, you know, what, maybe I can look up some prices of like catering, or renting like barbecue. I think you can rent those.
Like a
barbecue
smoker,
things.
yeah.
Smokers, yeah.
Oh, I have one.
Or a Blackstone,
Yeah, I have
something.
a big smoker. Just requires some time.
I'm not the biggest party planner, so, and this would come up because it's in our personnel policy that the planning board and the town manager would try to plan something. So it doesn't have to be, I'd love super fancy and awesome, and I think, you know, maybe going down the road, we can like build onto that, but maybe the first year might just be a smaller kind of, this is the first time we're doing it.
Yep.
And then each year we kind of build into it some more.
Yeah.
So.
Right, so if people want to bring maybe some more concrete ideas to the workshop, food wise, if that makes sense for people.
I think a barbecue of some sort, whether it's burgers and dogs or something,
That would be-
side salads. Call it good, drinks, whatever, and keep it simple and I can flip a burger or a steak or a hot dog. Occasionally I lose one over the side, but that's the cost of doing business, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion on that before we move on? Okay. Next up, letter D is discussion to review the process for donating and / selling the land to Goodwin's Mill Cemetery Association.
So I reached out to Brad Warren. You do have a warrant in the town meeting, you vote on it every year, and it says the, board can, you can do it by sealed bid, auction, or sale by realtor. So this doesn't meet that criteria, you would definitely have to bring this to the voters and vote on it. It's just a matter of, do you want to donate it to them? There was discussion in their letter, they would cover legal fees, did we want to donate it to them for $1? So that'll have to kind of come from you guys, what you want to do, and then you can do open town meeting, you can do secret ballot, you can put it on the November ballot, there's a couple different ways you can go about it as far as the voters go.
Well, I think we should put it on the November ballot, personally.
I think that keeps it really clean. We have enough time to do that.
And
But yeah.
I think that land is really no good to us. It's
Right.
good for them,
It's
and
good
they're
to
already
them.
talking about a design and a
Yeah.
sign and stuff.
Yeah.
Say we,
Come on.
Say something, Joe. The little triangle out there, from what we understand, is about 96 by 96 by 46. But part of that's the old deed. part of that has been taken away when they redid the intersection between Church Street
Mhm.
and South Waterboro Road. We've been trying to find documentation of what happened. We think the DOT may have done some of the work, so they would have surveyed it, just to see that, you know, it's only, what, a tenth of an acre, I think, is what it's listed. It's very small. And from what we understand from Leo, because he was there, and I think Vicky might have been there when they tore down Rhodes Hall, is that they backfilled Rhodes Hall's basement with all the granite that was in Rhodes Hall's foundation. So,
It wasn't granted because Mr. Harrison, I believe, Select Board Harrison, Shirley's husband, when he was on the select board, that they put a foundation under it. I'm fairly certain.
Was it?
That would
Okay.
be with, and that, so.
well, but what we understand is there's probably about 2 feet of ground soil on top of whatever they
Yeah.
backfilled from Rhodes
Yeah,
Hall.
they're more than likely, the foundation is under there, but
Yeah.
I don't know that. for
Yeah,
a fact.
Leo seems to remember that the foundation was granite and the granite blocks were thrown in the hole, and,
It was poured because I did when it became the library for that time,
yeah,
I volunteered my time and effort and materials, and I put a tie bed out front and planted flowers in it for everyone, and
yeah.
I distinctly remember putting those ties up, the ends of the ties up to the cement.
Well, that's helpful to know what's
I
under
think it's
there.
cement, I don't think it's
Yeah.
granite.
I mean, we don't think
blocks.
it's,
If it is, we'll fish them out, and you can donate them back to us, or we'll put them at Bungana.
well, that's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's another option is that, you know, we dig it out and at least make the land empty again underneath it so that there's land. It's doubtful that we would put plots out there, just because of its proximity. But it would make, as I said before, a nice place for a sign to actually put signage for the cemeteries, people know who it is, and, so that's what we're doing.
Lindsay, do we have an idea of what the legal fees would be to like coordinate?
Well, so typically when you like donate land or sell it or whatever, it's by quit claim deed.
Yep.
So he's just gonna do, kind of minimal, you know, he's gonna put together a quit claim deed.
Okay.
And I just, for the November ballot, and we'll talk a little bit more about November referendum, because that will be on the next agenda. But I'll need to know from you guys, like, what's the question, like, what are you,
Right.
are you giving it, are you selling it? Is there a dollar amount, are you trading, you know?
So,
something,
so in preparation for that, I guess just personally, would just want to know what the cost is for him to prepare that. Estimate, even just roughly.
Would that be your cost
I think,
basis for,
well,
That's where my brain is, if they already made that offer,
we
like,
get,
that's what I'm
we
saying.
get invoiced for it, so I can't imagine it's gonna be more than like a couple $100.
Right.
Maybe it's like $135 an hour. So, you know, I don't know if the question is how would you word it, like, you know,
legal fees associated with preparing a
basically,
quick
they're
claim
gonna,
deed,
the
something
trade-off
like
is
that.
give them the land, they pay the legal fees.
Yeah.
And so at the end of it, we say, here's the invoice, because he does itemize everything on the invoice. So
Right.
you'll be able to see, this is what went into this.
Right, okay. Yeah.
We usually have the cemetery meetings the first Wednesday of the month.
Mhm.
I'm going to speak for the entire committee trustees at this point and just say perhaps representative from the town could come to that meeting, next meeting or future meeting of some kind. And we can make an offer, work back and forth, see what is mutual for
Yeah, but
both parties, you know.
well, it's a
up to
board
you guys,
decision
so
though.
I need-
It's a board.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we just need to figure out how we want to word it. 'Cause
Right.
People have to approve that, not really
Yeah.
us. We just put it on the
So.
referendum. Cool. Awesome. All right, moving along. Item E is discussion on capital improvement plan.
So we talked about this in the past. I tried to reach out to, sometimes I can get Marcel, he'll check out stuff like the panels and, you know, being the electrical inspector, but the only thing is he's paid by permit, so anything we go above and beyond that, he's doing it free. And he's really busy, so I can't get hold of him. So my recommendation would be, we talked about capital improvement plans, trying to generate something solid. We just don't have a buildings and grounds committee, we don't have any professionals employed by the town that could, you know, be definitive, you know, here's where your leach field is at,
Mhm.
you got 5 years left. That maybe we hire a third-party inspector, have capital improvement, and have them do a report, like an inspection and a
The condition
report.
assessment essentially.
Yeah. And then based on that report, we can try to look at, you know, things that are, you know, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and start generating your capital.
And are we looking principally at the town hall only?
We can do all the properties. I
Mhm.
mean, we have the transfer station, we
Mhm,
have Buzzard
Yes.
Park, we
Mhm,
have,
mhm.
you know, even little concession stands we have at these fields.
Well, and I think we made solid progress with the transfer station with ARPA funds. But I also think it's important to continue, okay, we just redid this, but now we need to know that this has a 10-year lifespan, this has a 20-year lifespan, like, and plan for it,
It's
so.
like knowing what the compactors are doing.
Exactly.
It's like that, but
So, okay.
And this information would be useful for putting together the required 5-year plan that the charter requires.
Yes.
If that's something you guys wanna do, we didn't budget for it, so it has to come out of the reserve account. So I just, we can always pick it up next meeting too, I can probably put it out there, maybe find some third-party inspectors, get us some price quotes.
Mhm.
on
that'd be awesome.
what they offer, and then continue on discussing it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we could do that, that'd be great.
Okay. Any other discussion on that before we move on? Okay. So item number 6, department and committee reports. Section A, Kennybunk Pond Committee updates regarding the landscape improvements. Welcome back, Karen.
Hello. Okay, just an update on where we're at with the pond. Right now, we're waiting for the pedestrian lights to go in. And the status of that is that we got all the signs, but there's no posts and there's no fixtures to affix the stand to the base. And that was not within the scope of GT Scapes to do. They will install it, but it has to be assembled before they will install it. So I'm going to leave that to the town to follow up with. I don't know if those materials were supposed to come from DOT with the rest of the materials, but that's something that the town got from the state. So I'm going to leave that with you to follow up on. I know the road commissioner has looked at a couple of companies to get the crosswalks done, and he's just waiting on response for that. There's a little issue with the watering of the plants that are there. It was the committee's understanding that the landscaper would take care of that for the first year because the plants are warranted for the first year. And now the GT Scapes is saying they don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that. So if they don't do it and the plants die, they're going to have to replace the plants.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird thing, but they were under the assumption that we were like Kennybunk and had a truck with a watering thing. And when I pointed out there's a big difference between Lyman and Kennybunk, they said they do have a tank that they would be willing to give to the town if the town can find somebody to do that watering for them. So once again, I have to leave that with the town because I don't know of anybody. I did donate 3 new trash cans to the beach, so they look nicer, and Dave Riley has taken the old ugly ones away. And at this point, I guess once the pedestrian lights are installed, the town can have the DOT come out and inspect the landscaping, the changes that were done there to see if we do qualify for that $5,000 refund. And I think we will, but I don't know. But that is something that needs to be done. So at this point, I don't know that there's any need really to continue on with the committee. It would be my recommendation that I don't know how you disband a committee. But that I think really the town can take over at this point. And I would just like to thank the board, past boards, all of the board liaisons that we've had, starting with Bill Single, then Dave Ells, and then Amber. Thank you for all your help and support. And thank the committee members, Linda Koskalen, Priscilla Willett, Bridget Grenier. And I also have to say that I can't say enough about the contractors we worked with. David Maines was awesome. Highly recommend him for Bunganut. GT Scapes did an awesome job on the landscaping there. And Tom Kane from CTR for the gate has been incredibly responsive. So I endorse all three of those vendors for projects going forward.
What is the status of the gate? I didn't even see, I didn't look at it when I,
So the gate, when it was put in, the magnetic sensor doesn't sense like trailers. So it needs either more power, so the magnetic field is stronger. So somebody, they didn't do it on purpose. They were waiting for traffic to go. And the arm came down over their boat trailer. So when they pulled out, they grabbed the arm. So it's there, it's functioning. I went and checked it out today. And that's, I didn't put a note on here, but a couple things, so I talked to the gate company, they can see if we can increase the magnetic field so it will sense, trailers. They also recommended maybe just leaving that exit arm gate open during open hours so that we don't even have to worry about it going up and down. And that would help mitigate that issue.
that sounds,
If we need to replace, so they can push the gate arm in like a foot, but then you lose a foot, so like where it's open, it'll be open a foot more. Or you can replace the gate arm, it's like $480 plus shipping. And I also have some more updates, so like going back to the pedestrian signs and stuff like that, the poles and
Can I
the
just say
bracket-
one thing about the gate?
Yeah.
Tom did tell me that he would cover that under warranty to replace it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have
To
emailed from
replace
him.
the
I thought I said he was emailed, did I?
Yeah, I didn't understand it that way. I thought he would come out and service something else, but. yeah,
I think he's gonna cover it.
Excuse me one second. Karen, there were no eye sensors, safety sensors that came with that, so it didn't come down? Usually when you brake,
I think it's all based on the pressure on that loop going out at the driveway. And just the trailer didn't have enough weight, it wasn't sensitive enough
It's
for
a
them
magnetic
to
field.
recognize the
Yeah,
weight
so
of the
there's no
trailer.
eye,
So
to
that's
your
what he
point.
said, he could increase that along with leaving the arm out.
thank you.
And then the pedestrian sign, so what it is we used up all the ARPA money, it's gone. So we didn't factor in that there needs to be an electrician that sets up the solar to it. So if you guys want to move forward with it, we're gonna have to figure out, probably be CIP, I'm not sure which reserve it will come out of. But, before kind of putting time and energy into that, do you guys want to move forward hiring a electrician? You would have to wire the beacons, the flashing beacons. Tom Proto said we could probably get, the post is easy, we could probably get something to fashion that, and then the landscape people would install it. Does that make sense?
Mhm. How long have we had these lights?
A long time. They set up in Augusta for like a year, and then we finally got them, and we've had them for about a year.
Yeah.
So we don't know what
We weren't.
came with it, what was supposed to come with it, like to know that, like,
So
could we
it
call
comes-
DOT
it
and be
doesn't
like, we
come
didn't get?
assembled. It doesn't come assembled, and it's not something like you or I could just hook up assembled wire.
But it doesn't come with a post either, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Right. So I guess the biggest thing is we need to hire an electrician to wire the solar panels.
Does it have a book, installation book?
so
With
No,
it.
I'm not, you want to do some electrical wiring?
we.
No,
we-
no, no, no. I'll take that task if there's a book.
No, it didn't come with a book.
I was
Probably a YouTube video.
just gonna suggest we had recently hired an electrician to do some work for us. It was
for
two
the
initials,
salt shed,
T
right?
something, I think.
The salt shed, who was that?
And there was another
I know it's
project,
Ed. What's his name, Ed, but I can't think of
but
his
there
two
was
letters.
another project as well. I thought that they did expedient, very nice, clean work. So could we get a quote?
Yeah, we
to
can
see
get a
what it would
quote. I
cost
just
to-
wanna make sure
do
you
that?
guys are okay with taking it out of a reserve before we put some energy and resources into that. So are you guys okay moving forward, like hiring?
I would be okay moving forward, getting pricing on what it's
Yeah.
actually gonna cost to
That's
Like,
what,
switch
that's
it
why I
up,
was
switch
asking
these
for
up.
that.
Okay.
right?
What are we
Like for
talking?
It's for 2 weekends.
Yeah, I think it's important for safety, for sure, and especially if we have them. And if it can get us to the point of whatever rebate or refund comes along with that to the DOT.
I don't think we're guaranteed 5,000 from DOT. My understanding was like they would come out, inspect how they were installed, and they might give up to a dollar amount, could be up
Yeah.
to 5,000.
Yeah, and maybe it's just reimbursing what it costs us to put
Yeah.
them up or something, but if we can get a price, I think that'd be a good idea. Okay. Any other thoughts on that from anyone before we?
Oh, Karen, was there, in the contract with GT Scapes, was there anything mentioned in the contract about who was in charge of watering the plants once they were installed?
Nothing specific, just that they gave a warranty on the plants. So
Just
I
standard.
think they were gonna give us this big tank, but nobody has a truck to
Guarantee
cart
any
it around and water the plants.
Get a big body of water right there. All you need is a plastic.
But you gotta figure out how to get it out of the pond into the tank.
Right.
No. You don't, it's,
We just, like, we have a part-time Parks and Recs, no
Right.
public works.
There's no
Like, I don't have
employees
anyone
dedicated to
who
go
will
water plants.
Send down their water plants and truck around water.
Tom's not doing anything.
Hold on, Brian's had his hand up very patiently.
What are
Come
the
to the microphone.
pedestrian signs, like,
Can you come to the microphone?
Sorry. So the pedestrian signs are the flashing, right? If I'm understanding it right, it's like a crosswalk and it would flash.
I
get one in a.
So
You know what I'm talking about?
And it warns oncoming drivers that somebody's using that crosswalk.
Is that answer?
yeah,
Okay.
we have signs there already, don't we?
I don't think that's the
Signs,
flash,
yes,
and I
but
think the
nothing-
DOT gave us the flashing on that. Ken,
If I can get some more information about the Ken Burr, if I can get some more information about the watering, I might be involved in doing it. Okay, but if it's gonna tie up my truck because it's a great big tank, I'm not interested. But I need more information. And the other thing is we're gonna figure out how we're gonna get the water into the tank. I mean, we got a big pond, but you gotta have a pump or something to do it, so. But I might be interested in doing it, so.
Thank you.
So what GT Scapes explained to me was that you would have, what they do is they fill the tank from their home and they have it in the back of their truck and they bring it to the pond.
I'm feeling.
I know, I'm just telling you what they said. And Dave Maines also said that it's not the parking lot plants that really need attention, it's mostly the row along the ramp, so closest to the beach, if that helps.
and I just want to pause before we move on, and Karen, thank you and the committee, because it's been a long committee run, and we appreciate that a lot, it looks
Thank you.
great. Okay. Fire chief sent the all hands report out. We all get emailed it too, so. And then we have a planning board third quarter report. Election of Joe as chair. Joe, I don't know if you want to highlight anything that was within this.
No, I think it's pretty complete. Thanks to Julie Lemieux for incorporating this all together for us.
Yeah. These are great. I appreciated receiving these for sure. These are in the online packet too as well, right? Okay. Perfect. Excellent. New business, we've got a field use request form from the Southern Maine, Smash. That was it, athletic.
I thought we approved.
So we approved them in the summer
Oh,
to use
that's
it,
right.
and now they're asking for the fall, for their games, practices, fall soccer. So,
What's the times I'm looking at?
Monday through Friday.
on the back, I'm like, I knew there was a section of this form.
10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It looks like August, September, October, and November.
Yeah. And so Monday through Friday during the day doesn't interfere with Massabesic United Soccer. So,
That's
Because
what I was
they
trying
do
to
that.
ask.
Yeah, so they have evening practices and weekend games, or maybe evening games.
No conflict in terms of,
So we had the Fund the Nut Committee present to the board previously a fee schedule for people for field use. Was there ever a decision made of when that would start?
January 2025.
20, okay.
And they did donate, they made a donation.
I want to say it was like 250 or something.
Yeah.
I might be making that.
250 for the field use, for it's ones that use it for school.
Right. This is essentially the gym class. right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody has a motion for
Yeah,
that.
I'll make a motion to approve the field request, field use request from Smash.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
So just so you guys are aware, this is the way we've always done it, and I don't mind continuing to do it this way, but it's always gone through Parks and Recs, it goes to me, it goes to the board, it goes back to Parks and Recs, it goes back to the person requesting. So I mean, I don't know if it's just simpler to, Parks and Recs answers all those questions before it even gets to you guys, you know, is there a
Okay.
conflict, is there an issue, does it tie up something else?
Mhm.
So I
don't
think
know
if it's
it makes
within their
sense just to
purview, I
have-
think we always, right, we always did it that way.
Yeah,
Because we didn't have a town
So-
manager,
But,
so.
so what are you saying we would be knocking off a few steps by just letting Parks and Rec
It's
There
just
you go.
every
take
time.
care of it with you?
Yeah, it's just because like Snash and these other leagues are like, they're always antsy, like they're trying to register and book their students, but then they're waiting for a board meeting for it to get finalized. And just kind of that's what we've done, you know, goes to Parks and Recs, go down like 3 people and then it comes back down. It just
So
seems-
we could eliminate a few of those steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in our charter that says we have to approve that, so I'm fine with that. I don't know what else is.
Me too. I mean, I'd rather see it be easier for the people for use, for them to be able to use it,
Agreed.
not have to jump through so many hoops.
Okay. Awesome.
so I'm sorry, so we're saying that Parks and Rec would have the call on this in the future?
Yeah, in conjunction with Lindsay, but yeah. Awesome, okay. Next, we have an ordinance review committee, a reappointment application. The way we've handled these in the past, town manager goes through the process. We all sort of review the recommendation and make a motion. At that point, we don't necessarily discuss the name out of confidentiality
Until we make a motion.
until we make the motion, right? So. So I don't know, if people want to take a look at that and entertain a motion if anyone has one.
Make a motion that we reappoint George Cheney to the ordinance review committee for a 3-year term.
Second,
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, anyone was all in favor? Thank you.
Madam Chair, just the point of order.
Yep.
From what I understand, there were 4 positions on the ordinance review committee that came due at the end of this month.
Mhm.
And I believe only 2 have been addressed so far. Okay. If a person has been serving on a committee and they've been duly notified that their term is coming due, and they have expressed interest in continuing, I think it would be the right thing to do to at least put that to a vote. If it was in the negative, at least in a discreet explanation in writing to the individual who's been not reappointed. But again, just letting the term expire without a formal vote on the part of the select board, I would not think is appropriate, particularly again, if the person has been notified and has expressed interest in continuing.
So at the last board meeting, you guys voted on, we've already done this, so basically what happens at the end of the year, I have a list of all the committee and boards everyone's appointed. I reach out, I ask them if they're interested, some have come back, nope, I'm all done, okay, fair enough. those that are interested, I talked with them, put together the recommendations. So the last board, at the last meeting, already did that with some of them. This is somebody who came back to me and said, I'm not ready to decide if I'm interested or not. And then they came back to me after that meeting and said, you know what, I am interested. So we continue having more conversation. So those are, I mean, I know we may have some vacancies there. I would love to see more volunteers come in. We've tried and strived to get some more folks, but I know people's lives are busy and they don't always jump on board real quick.
So as to Joe's point about them being notified, you've notified everybody,
Yes.
whether they were appointed or whether the board chose not to
I
appoint
reached
them.
out and, you know, if they have questions or concerns, they can always follow up with me, but they've all been notified.
So are we saying that someone who has been notified and has expressed interest in continuing, that should be put to a vote?
It does.
It's already done, that's basically what I'm saying. I don't know what you're getting at, can you be more clear?
Well, we speak so much about confidentiality, but I do believe there was one member of the ordinance review committee, one of the four, who was notified, expressed interest in continuing. But I don't recall from the last meeting when it seemed like when you were going through reappointments, ordinance review committee was kind of skipped over. There was silence. Nothing has to be done, so nothing was done.
So their term is gonna end June 30th.
Right.
Yep.
And,
So the board doesn't have to, if you don't appoint somebody, their term ends, that's it.
right,
I don't think you need to make a motion on not appointing them.
Mm.
You're basically letting their term end. That's what we've decided to do.
I do think a vote should be taken nonetheless.
That's up to the board.
Mhm.
You're one of five.
Brandon? I'd just say that taking a look into future reexamination of the policy that's used for appointment to boards and committees. I do believe the consultant from Eden Peabody has said that in all, just generally, town employees under the purview of the town manager, committees, boards, a little bit more under the purview in consultation with the town manager. So I think one way for us to exercise that is to, if someone's term is due, they've expressed interest in returning, we put it to a vote.
So Joe, just to catch you up, all right, so I did put this to the board. We talked about, you know, you guys could take on, we could change this policy or change the way we do it, or keep doing it the way we want. We're doing it now, and you guys decided we're good with the way things are right now. That was the directive given to me from the board.
That's
So
right.
we can discuss that at our workshop as
Yeah.
part of the Eden Peabody recommendations and outline things.
That'd be fine.
We can absolutely revisit that as this board.
Yep,
That's okay.
new wheels.
Okay, so now we're gonna review.
So
Oh,
I'm sure
sorry.
you have
I just want to clear, I'm not gonna get it back and forth.
That's fine.
Okay,
So if someone, Brian Dulong, if someone expresses interest in staying on the roll, why wouldn't the town appoint someone to stay on the roll if we're begging people to come to join these committees? Why would we cast someone out? Just wondering.
so we are going to review / approve policies on disbursements. We do this every year.
Mhm. I make a motion to approve the policy on disbursements.
I'm gonna second, oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna second that to get to discussion. Because names, are these, should we have the prior
The
names on
names.
this?
Yep, so those names are gonna stay the same.
They're not current municipal officers.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
current municipal officers,
Are not correct.
you know,
Like Rusty and Tom are still on there
Oh,
as chair and
sure.
vice chair. I do.
Because the draft one I have says David Elves, Joseph Wagner, is that?
It has you in the
Signatures,
signatures,
but
but
up in
not
the-
in the.
Up in the letter
In the
of it,
letter, in
current
the body of the
municipal
letter.
officers,
Oh, dang, okay.
it has the,
I do not know.
Just hold on. She's holding on.
Okay, so we can table it, this is good till June 30th, so we can table it to July 1 if you want to make the correction. This just allows the treasurer to disperse basically like state and payroll.
okay. I'll rescind my motion to approve the disbursement policy.
I'm sorry, just out of curiosity, under what circumstances would this be used?
Okay, so the way it works, right? So the law says disbursements cannot be dispersed without the board approving a warrant. So you guys approve your payroll warrant and your AP warrants every other week.
Mm-hmm.
In between that, we end up with, sometimes payroll is off. So right now payroll's off over, it's falling on the other week and not on a board week.
Mhm.
So we need to be able to disperse payments to employees
See.
without
Stay
you guys
compliance with
approving it.
law.
Then we hold money for the state. So we collect sales tax and stuff like that, plumbing permit fees. We hold that money and each month we disperse that money to the state. So this is allowing the treasurer to disperse those funds and everything else gets approved by you guys on the warrant.
I think that we should approve this with the changes of striking changing the current municipal officers. Striking Ralph and Thomas and replacing those names with David Alves and Joseph Wagner, and then approving it that way.
Is that a motion?
It is.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Thanks, Vicki. We are gonna do some signing.
Heather?
Any other, sorry, I'm gonna start signing as we go through other.
I do have some other, two others.
Okay,
When I was looking over the minutes from the last meeting, there was a mention about talking to Ken Burr to see if he would know anything about that conduit at the transfer station. And I was just wondering if that had happened.
I came in and he talked to me.
Okay. And then the other thing was about Rusty and Tom. They were the board liaisons to the Bunganut Committee. So I didn't know if they were going to seek to be appointed to that committee or,
That's totally up to them. I explained to them they can fill out an application if they want to.
okay. And do we need another board liaison for Fieldside and Parkside?
It's an ad hoc committee, so like the charter allows you to have an ad hoc committee for a year, and then the board can appoint them again for one additional year. So come April 2025, they won't be able to be an ad hoc committee anymore. So I put in the project statement that basically once they're dissolved, it would kind of roll into Parks and Recs. And maybe they could stay on, maybe they could join Parks and Recs, become a subcommittee that way. I mean, as far as select board liaisons, it's up to you guys if you want to do that.
Okay.
I think that's something we could probably talk about at our forever long workshop that I keep adding to. But we did that last year too, and I think it really set us off on the right foot. Another, Joe.
Yes, and just, I was going to bring up the question posed to Ken about the conduit. Is it usable in any way for wiring the cameras at the transfer station?
Or they know that, yeah.
Okay.
There were conduits, extra conduits put in there, I believe.
Okay.
But also somewhere around here, somewhere around here, I think there's a diagram of wiring as it is. We had a wet diagram of what it was supposed to be, but then you need another one afterwards. Okay. And I think somewhere it's in the village, but I don't know where. I would be able to find it out. You know, those things just disappear. It's been what, 15 years, I think.
Mm.
12 or 13 years.
Couple days.
The other, if you don't mind, the charter and 313, well, there's, I think, potentially a little awkward language there with respect to when terms for the select board begin. Term of 3 years on a staggered basis in accordance with the town's operating fiscal year. Now, stopping there, one would get the impression that the term begins on July 1. But then it goes on to say that the term actually commences when the person takes the oath of office. And that's been done at town meeting. I checked the main moderator's manual, and it says that can be done, but also says that the new members can be sworn in afterwards by the town clerk. Just putting it out there as a suggestion that in the future, when there's a new member to the select board, that person be sworn in on the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1. That 2-week time period could be used as an orientation opportunity to get the person up to speed, rather than as I'm doing in particular, just kind of jumping right into it. I know it's nice in the way of a ceremonial aspect to have that done at the town meeting. But again, I think in terms of practical matters to help someone come on the board with a little bit more preparation, that be postponed until July 1.
I think it makes sense the way you say it like that, too, and that, I don't know what the intent, I wasn't, of the charter committee was on that, but, I always thought it would make more sense to start the new people on July 1st, because like you missed the last 2 weeks of this fiscal year that you were involved in.
Right.
And just for a matter of, just because here again, this is how we've always done it, you know, maybe something to think about.
I think the memory serves charter, we didn't address that, I think it was the previous charter was stated like that, so we can take it out.
All right. Let me see. Okay, that's what I've got.
Does anybody else have other?
I have one more thing. Lindsay, FOA and municipal officers training, do we have to take that every year, or is it?
It's per your oath. So when you're sworn in, it's 180 days from when you take your oath.
Okay, so I've done mine, I'm good for my whole, okay. Just wanna make sure.
And doing that for the planning board carries over.
For FOA?
No, so
I have to
no,
do it
no, you should probably do it because you'll be signing that as a select board member.
So you can just sign a statement that says. you
Yeah, you
reviewed it
read
and
the
are familiar with
content or
Sure thing.
did a webinar or something. Do we need,
That was quick.
Sure.
The resignation letter from Joe for the planning board?
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, thanks, Joe. That's good.
Right there. Well, then the board has
And then
to
we
vote
have-
on the resignation, so it'll have to be the next
At the
meeting
next
in
meeting.
July.
Okay.
I can recuse myself on that, right?
What's that?
I'll recuse.
You
Trying to be
vote on
funny.
your
My
own
apologies.
Are you gonna approve
resignation.
your own resignation? Are there any other items?
I'm not there.
Are we all signed out? Everybody signed?
I have one other thing that I'd like to say. I understand how this meeting started. This is the first meeting of this particular board of selectmen. I'd like you all to know that I intend to continue to carry on with the same respect, even in discourse that I've dished out. I will tell the truth. I will do everything to the best of my ability for the taxpayers and the voters of Lyman that have put us all in this position together. And I look forward to working with you together. I'm sure there's gonna be a few bumps in the road because it's new. I don't wanna fight with you. I don't wanna bump heads with you. I want to get along. My goal is to get along respectfully. And I hope this, y'all feel the same.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Want to make a motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
wait, I just want to make sure everybody's signed.
Oh,
We're
okay.
supposed to. before we do that.
Hey, wait a minute.
He didn't vote on that.
Oh, sorry.
Abstained.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me be on the fire commission. I really appreciate it.
Did we need to not sign this one?
I didn't even see that one.
My
It
apologies.
must have been stuck to the other one. Darn. Put my
I
pens
was
over.
trying to have
Thank you.
this one too.
No wonder. It's like,
And
man,
this
that
one
was,
too?
there was,
This is why we didn't adjourn.
no
that's it.
wonder, no wonder.
I
'Cause,
don't know, they all must have got
I
clipped
thought,
together
wow,
or
that was
something.
only a few this time.
I was like thinking, well, I didn't think it was that short.
Alrighty. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay, I was going to check. After-
I don't know. Oh,
What
there it
happens
is.
if my name's not in the same place?
Never in the same place. 17. There's no date on it, so I put it on.
Perfect. Okay.
I think I got them all this
Motion to
time.
adjourn.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yay. I don't want to go home.
Thank
I just want to stay.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.